This is the Team Objection podcast for September 12th, 2019, episode 406. The core crew of three is here again, the original OGs, the old men who have been here for going on 8 years.
The true core. Hot take.
The one true pairing.
As I say, the one true trio.
There have been other imitators who have come and gone, but we hold down the fort.
Yeah. Like, who gives a shit about Stephen A. Smith? Get out of here, Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
You don't want to make an enemy out of me.
I'm gonna, if that's what's going to get us some eyes on the podcast. I'm comfortable doing that. Unfortunately, the idea of making hotter takes than him makes me want to throw up inside. So
it's true.
I laugh my ass off every time Dan Levitard is just like says what an idiot either Stephen A. Smith or Will Kane or any of the other kind of clickbait journalists on ESPN.
All right, so wait, which one's the worst? Because it's a tie between Skip Bayless and Will Kane. Those two are the worst.
Well, God, for like sensationalism, it's definitely Stephen A. Smith. But I mean, he's entertaining to listen to. Will Kane is like, are you just taking that take because it's the opposite? Is what I feel like with Will Kane.
Yeah. Yeah,
and he's like, I'm Republican, is also what he seems to be screaming at all times, which is
annoying. In his line of work, it's kind of almost like a death sentence to say that, but he's still got a job, so he's like, I'm gonna wear it and be
like he's the conservative voice for ESPN. Yeah. That's like his role. Yeah. I'm here to tell the truth. Shut the fuck up. Are you kidding me?
I think
how like self-important. Go ahead.
I think Skip Bayless is consistently the worst, but I'm more often baffled by Jason Whitlock.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Like he doesn't often get out in the viral bad take section, but when he does, he is way out on the reservation.
Max Kellerman says some dumb stuff. Recently, Kawhi Leonard is better than Michael Jordan. That was
where he had people walking off the set.
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm gone. I'm sorry.
I mean,
and he's right. Sad. I mean, he's right.
I mean, he's totally right. That Kawhi Leonard is way better than Michael Jordan.
No, Dave. See, Dave is Stephen A. Smith.
I don't even know if you can make a case that Kawhi's best right now is as good as Jordan's best. You certainly can't based on career. There's not even an argument there.
Yeah.
Maybe. Kawhi was really good last year, but no, it's not. You may have noticed from the intro, it's basketball adjacent. We're going to talk some basketball, but primarily not like X's and O's stuff, but just about online hate and why the Suns often seem to get caught in the crosshairs. And we're speaking more specifically about Devin Booker. There's going to be some other stuff here kind of mixed in as well, but the fact remains that Devin Booker, who is I think still 22, I don't think he's turned 23 yet.
Sounds right.
And is performing well above expectations for a guy who never started a game in college. Seems to be under a magnifying glass, unlike most other players in the NBA. And as Suns fans who already feel marginalized from a decade of watching shitty, god-awful basketball, I think it's very easy for us to be like, hey, like, shut up. Leave our dudes alone.
You know, I can't even get mad at it, though, because we've been bad for so long. I mean, what are the teams that seem to get the most hate? You're either really bad or you're really, really good. Well, we've been horrible, and we deserve it. You know, like, we deserve it. Our fans booing. We deserve that. We suck. We're the worst.
I feel like the team deserves the hate, but I don't know that Devin Booker does by proxy.
No. I think I've read things online that so much of the hate he gets comes from the fact that everyone celebrated when he scored 70 points in a loss. And I'm like, I don't understand the amount of hate that he gets for that. It's like, oh, you're fine losing if you score a lot yourself. It's like, he scored 70 points in a game. 10 people have done that. He's one of them. He was 20 at that time. Like, it's amazing. It's a huge accomplishment. The team was terrible. Did you see this lineup next to him? Yeah, of course they lost. The only fact they were even close in that game was because he scored 70 points.
They were down 23-4 before he scored his first bucket. 23-4 before he scored his first bucket.
Is it fair, like... It's not quite apples to apples, but like, do we say, well, Russell Westbrook, it doesn't count the triple doubles he got when they were losing. Yeah. It only counts the ones. No, they all count, and it's still a milestone whether you won or lost. A huge milestone.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, I was just gonna say that's a good point. I think the Suns deserve a certain amount of hate. I will not say Devin Booker deserves it, but I mean, it doesn't surprise me when you're in the bottom cellar, the cellar that is the bottom most of all the cellars. I guess it comes with the territory, and he hasn't made the playoffs yet. So it's going to keep happening until we win.
Well, besides having a team around him that isn't a bunch of G leaguers or old ass people who can't play anymore, Jamal Crawford, sorry. I don't know what he's supposed to do. People have called him a ball hog. I'm like, would you pass under these situations? Like, I don't understand that metric. People have said he's injury prone. It's like, well, what's the point of playing when you have nothing left in the season? Or missing Team USA. I think we'll touch on that, but not playing for Team USA because he wants to get his body right. Nothing he does is criticism free. And I don't understand it when a guy is just trying to get better and become the best player he can be and prove he's worth a max contract, which to me, I think he did deserve, because what the hell else do we have?
There are two factors here that I think work against him nationally. One of them is the 70-point game, unfortunately. Not only because of the loss, as you mentioned, but also because the Suns admittedly sort of tried to pad that at the end.
4 points. That's all it got him.
He had a legit 66 when that game was still right around double digits with a minute and a half left. Yeah. So you can argue that, they fouled twice to get him to 70 instead of 66, but who cares?
Okay, 66. That's amazing.
Yeah, okay. He was still 20, putting up 66 in the Boston Garden. Whatever. But, I mean, I do like the fact that he's handled it all with aplomb. Mm-hmm. Even his responses this summer when he's gotten some people kind of riding him have been pretty professional, kind of standing up for himself, not just backing down, but being like, hey, Gilbert Arenas came at him for something we'll talk about in a bit. It was like, hey, Gilbert, I don't really agree, but I respect your game. We should work out sometime. It was all just really face of the franchise type stuff in a way that we haven't seen from him a ton to this point.
I try to imagine myself being 22 years old. I don't know that I had that much tact, and I feel like I'm a relatively above average intelligence person. And I don't think I had that much tact at 22, much less dealing with social media, millions of dollars, eyes of tons of people on me. It's amazing how much class and tact he has in his online persona, his face that he puts out in front of people. I think it's incredible.
Yeah. I also self-aborted my own second point. The second one was the contract. Yeah. It's amazing how the criticism ramped up as soon as he signed that extension. And some of that's fair and to be expected, don't get me wrong. But it was like a switch flipped because he went from extremely overachieving rookie to how can he possibly live up to a max contract? And some of that's just the nature of the NBA's contract structure and not really his fault either. But the added expectation because of the extra money is fair.
I wonder what it is about Booker. So he gets a lot of hate sometimes, but it seems like little things that he says that I could see a bunch of other NBA players saying wouldn't really generate a whole lot of conversation, people just attached to. So when he had that comment about getting double teamed, which I think we will get into, so I'm jumping the gun, but that's okay. There were players that came to his defense, but the point is, it was a conversation to begin with. Some off comment about pickup. I feel like that's really weird. Who cares?
Yeah. It's a pickup game.
The majority of the time, if Donovan Mitchell was like, "Don't double team me" as his pickup, I just don't see that generating the same conversation. Maybe I'm out of touch.
Well, you see, Shaun, Donovan Mitchell is a winner because he was a rookie that came in and really led that team. Oh, wait, no, he had the Defensive Player of the Year and a competent point guard.
Yeah, and when he finally made the playoffs, he shot 39%.
Yeah. Donovan Mitchell's one of those guys that people have made, the internet culture, the Reddit, NBA, Twitter, that world has made me hate Donovan Mitchell for reasons that I shouldn't hate him.
I know, he seems like a nice guy.
I know, it's not his fault.
Really good young player. Really did not have a very good second season. It was basically the same as his rookie season, so he kind of stagnated, and yet still gets pretty much universally praised, and I don't get it either. Yeah,
and like I said, I hate him for reasons I shouldn't hate him. But
Donovan Mitchell's on the Team USA, right?
Yeah, he is.
He's not playing great.
No. The whole team isn't, though. They can't score with a lick.
Oh,
It's because USA basketball's soft. You heard it here.
Well, that roster they have is not very good, and they just got a huge assist from Argentina knocking Serbia out of the tournament because that was going to be a bad matchup for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when Brook Lopez is your one of your starters,
yeah, their bigs are pathetic.
Well, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about all the players who clearly, with the team being that bad, Devin Booker is not the only player who said, I don't want to play this summer.
But he gets criticism.
Bill Simmons, I didn't see him being like, where you at, LeBron? It was
Devin Booker because he's a Celtics fan, and Booker hung 70 on the Celtics. There's a very easy A to B to C graph you can plot here, and the reason is Bill Simmons is a fucking bastard homer, and he never lets go of a grudge. So why Devin Booker and other young players? Well, that's why, because he's got a grudge still out for Booker because of what happened to him in his house.
You know what? Good. I'm glad. That just shows you how impactful it was.
Well, and that's the thing that I think some people brought up on Twitter, too, is it's like, the Celtics fans talked about how, well, it doesn't matter. You guys lost. It doesn't matter. It's like, well, then why are you still talking about it this far along? Let it go.
Yeah. So Simmons' comment just cracked me up. But the fact he wrote during a game, man, I'm glad Devin Booker's spending a season getting fed open three-pointers by his 5'9" trainer, because that's a way better way of preparing for your season, where it's like, Booker wanted to make sure he didn't get hurt and had his body in the best shape. And then 20 minutes later, Simmons posts a tweet that says, oh no, Jason Tatum's hurt. It's like, yeah, you fucktard. That's part of it. Like, that's a bit of a reason why Booker's not playing right now.
Now, I'll say, I wish he did play. I do.
Me too. Me too.
In a vacuum, I would have preferred him to play, especially with this roster. I think he could have been his coming out party. Yeah. He didn't want to get his body right, and I respect that. Mm-hmm. So I'm fine with it.
I mean, really, when you think about it, what's more important is the Suns being a better team and potentially coming close to making the playoffs this year, or a FIBA World Cup gold medal? Nobody gives a shit. Yeah, Nobody cares about the FIBA World Cup.
The experience would be a valuable one.
It would.
Popovich is a great coach, so maybe he could pick up a couple little things along the way. But like I said, in a vacuum, I would like him to play. But given that he's had 10 to 15 games worth of injuries the last couple of seasons, and knowing the load he's about to take on this season, although hopefully it'll be alleviated a little bit by having a better squad around him, I'm very, very much content with him not playing.
Yeah, I agree. The amount of hate he's getting. I mean, the fact that he's getting hate for not playing. Name a whole bunch of other young players that aren't playing. A whole bunch of people skip this one. Kemba Walker's their best player on the Team USA right now. He's good, but I mean, that's it. That's your best player by far.
Yep.
I don't know.
There's no winning. There's no winning. As we saw with Simmons, and that was hilarious, the hate he got immediately within that hour and a half span of bitching about Booker to, oh no, my Celtic player got hurt.
Yep.
Oh.
What a little bitch. I hate him.
The good news is, it's been such a weird summer for Booker, and we can talk about the other two right here after this, but he got pretty much loved for his comment about ease up and pick up, why are you going so hard? He's like, because I haven't made the playoffs yet. So that was pretty universally liked. Then he got pretty dragged, although some people supported him for the double teaming and pickup comment. And then he responded to Bill Simmons' dumbass tweet just a phenomenal response, and everybody loved that. So it's a very bipolar offseason for him in a span of 3 weeks.
So why don't you give the quick breakdown, just so we're on the same page, of the double team thing, I guess.
Yeah, so there's been videos of different NBA players playing pickup in the offseason. This is a frequent thing. There's that famous game at UCLA that usually gets some pretty good videos coming out of it because a lot of pretty decent NBA talent goes there. But there's NBA players playing together all over the place. Mm-hmm. It's pretty frequent, and now with cell phones everywhere, it's easy to pick up video from just about anywhere. And in one of them, I forget who it was besides Joakim Noah. There was somebody else who was pretty regularly double teaming.
Noah was the one I was thinking of.
Noah was the one who was coming over to double. I forget who his man was straight up that was getting toasted so bad that Noah had to consider coming over and doubling. Point being, Booker was like, hey, bro, I don't need you guys double teaming me. I get enough of that during the season. And
we're here to work on our game.
Yeah. Some people, especially those who clearly don't understand pickup, ripped into him for this, calling him soft. And before I turn it over to you guys, I just want to remind everybody out there who may not be so analytically driven that the player in the NBA who faced the most double teams in pick-and-roll situations in 2018 was Devin Booker.
Of course it was, because who else is on our team?
Uh-huh.
We are the safest double team in the NBA for probably the last decade. Like, of course he was. Even
I heard
if he's having a bad game, there's no one else to guard on the Suns.
I've heard so many people criticize him for that comment of, "Hey, man, let's work on our game." It's like, well, you're going to be double teamed all the time, so that's your game you need to work on. I'm like, it's totally different in the off-season summer when you're playing pickup. Like, yeah, you'll work on your double teams with your team in drills and stuff like that. And, he's had plenty of practice already. You're here to work on your individual game, work on a team game. You're not here to be double teamed and have to pass out of a double team.
And what I'm hoping is this year, if they double team him with such intensity, we're going to be able to exploit it because we're actually going to have players at the NBA level.
Someone who can shoot.
Yeah, we're not going to have a JV squad anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
so
shooters and secondary playmakers, both of which can make plays out of a double team pass out.
Yeah, so if you double him, you're going to get punished. I mean, like, how often during a game, Devin Booker's you already said it, he's the most double-teamed player. Like, James Harden, how often does he get double-teamed on the Rockets?
Not a ton.
It's not
I think
like
he was 5th or 6th on that list.
When you look at it, he gets plenty of one-on-one isolation opportunities, and that's what you practice for in the offseason. So, yeah, and just, beyond all that, beyond being in the NBA and how many double teams you face, you don't double team in friggin' pickup. Like, I have played with some extraordinary people in pickup, way better than me. No one double teams. Come on. It's a pride thing. In the NBA, it's different. On pickup, you either you do your best to contain your guy. That's it.
Or you switch.
Yeah.
You switch if you suck.
Yeah. I remember the only time I'm trying to think. Other than double teaming the post because I'm someone grabbed an offensive rebound and everyone just swarms to the ball. That's different. But the only time I can think of in pickup where I double teamed somebody was when I was playing against James freaking Harden. We triple teamed him and he still split us like we weren't there. But that's different, I think.
Yeah,
I'm not an NBA player playing with James Harden.
If I was being guarded by a bunch of 6-year-olds and I was the only player of my size on the court, I'd probably expect them to swarm to me too because there's such a gap in talent and speed and ability. Yeah. But this is not that.
Yeah. So just the idea, I understand a little bit of in a snippet, all you see is Devin Booker complain about being double teamed and that's the headline you see. And it's whoa, what a softie. You can't handle a double team. It's there's just so much more to it that people don't give a shit about looking into.
I'm also annoyed because they double team, but they shove him out of bounds. Yeah. And he just walking and he's what the fuck? And I'm yeah, that is annoying.
Yeah.
Anytime you get fouled, that's the thing too, is you're not out there getting to shoot free throws and pick up. So when you get fouled, you don't get anything. It gets annoying.
Mm-hmm.
I feel you, Booker.
The idea of I'm driving the basket and someone fouls me because they're going for a block. Happens. Okay, cool. No problem. If someone fouls me because they're reaching in trying to steal the ball where they have no shot at stealing it, dude, back off.
Yeah, well,
play defense.
Yeah, but you get intentional fouls all the time in pickup where it's well, I can't stop you, so foul. And it's okay, but you have nothing stopping you from doing that every possession, and it starts to get why are we here at that point?
Yeah, exactly. We're here to have fun. We're not here to win a game. We're here to win. But in the end of the day, who cares who won or lost? We're here to play.
Which is the part I don't get because he even mentioned himself in his comments, I'm trying to work on parts of my game and it doesn't involve this because I've had more than enough practice at that. We don't have any problem with Drew Brees in practice, just throwing passes to receiver without linemen running at him and hitting him every possession.
Yeah.
But that's what's going to happen in a real game, bro. Who cares? It's meant to be a thing to work on a specific skill set on the time, and for pickup, some players just go into that challenging themselves to do a particular thing. And I'm sure, Shaun, you've done this too, where maybe one game you shoot more corner threes because you're working on it, or one game you're I'm just going to get more offensive rebounds today. The hell with everything else.
Yeah, or I've done, especially depending on the talent level, if, I will just be I'm going to work on my passing. And what's the word? I give up open looks to get good passing. And that's what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
I also, it annoys me that Bill Simmons is for your 5'9" trainer feeding you open threes. It's what do you know what Devin Booker is working on or how he's working in the offseason?
Yeah, the level of snark and sarcasm in that tweet was great.
Yeah.
And again, the highlight reel that went viral with him talking about making the playoffs was on Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Very talented second-year rookie of the year, East All-Star reserve Ben Simmons.
Not a shabby defender either. I just want to
6'10" Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
And I know, like, I think we kind of covered Simmons, but we mentioned Booker's response to Simmons' tweet. So Bill Simmons' beloved Celtic gets hurt, and he puts on a tweet that says, "Oh no, Tatum's hurt," and the Booker responds with "prayers up." And that's it.
That's it.
I was like, perfect.
It was
Great
so
response. It was
so good. Damn, that was good.
It was exactly what he should have said. And that's what I said earlier. Like, it's amazing that he has that much self-awareness.
And you know what Simmons' response was to that? Fucking nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is no response to that when you get ethered. You just take your L when you move on.
It's so subtle. It's so good. It's such a good comment.
So I guess the last piece of hate that we have to cover, or something else we have to cover, is disrespect he gets from sports writers, huh?
Yeah, I think this is slightly overblown. In general, I think people think the media is hard on someone when a lot of times the media is just reporting that something sucks. So again, when a team gets hate in the media, well, the Suns do suck. So saying the Suns suck is not hating if it's absolutely true. But in SI 100 rankings that came out, they've been coming out for a few days now. They'll continue by the time this thing is posted. This will be a couple more days left. Devin Booker is, 33 or 34, Dave? I didn't look it up.
I thought it was 34.
33?
34, I think. I think there's 3 players that were announced today ahead of him.
It could be 30. I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Early 30s.
34.
Just
There's 3 ahead of him. 34 in the top 100 list. This is just a list from Sports Illustrated, so it's not like we're all bent out of shape on a principle level. But some of the comments that are in the article sort of reflect this overarching opinion of Booker and his place in the NBA. So I guess my question is that ranking too low or too high? Are the comments fair? And what do you think of some of the other people that are around him on the list?
I laughed at the fact that Jason Tatum was 35 after all the tweets by Bill Simmons of the fact that Tatum was this, like, oh my God, rookie, look how well he's playing in the playoffs. And it's like, well, he's still ranked below Devin Booker at least.
I bet you it's going to be a little low, I guess, depending on like, he should probably be ranked somewhere in the 20s, and we're going to find out because there's going to be a few people ranked above him who are going to be like, no. In my opinion, Doncic, who is going to be somewhere higher than him, we know based on what we've seen so far, Doncic to me is not better than Devin Booker. Can someone verify that for me?
I feel like it's all potential. Like, that's what everyone's driving the Doncic love of, is his potential. And I want to remind everyone that Devin Booker's 22 years old. Like, that's still potential.
Yeah, but and you make a good point, Dave. But at the same time, the 100 is specific on this year because it's supposed to be this year. When they snubbed Ayton, they said, "Don't worry, he's gonna be here. He's gonna become a fixture eventually." But we're talking about this year, and so I'm saying this year, Doncic was Rookie of the Year, and he's a good player. He's not better than Devin Booker. It's not like he is this a great two-way player, right? So he'd have an advantage of defense where Devin Booker doesn't play a whole lot of defense.
Yeah.
He's just a scorer and a passer.
A good passer, but Booker's a good passer.
Yeah. Well, that seems to be the overall criticism. And even in the Sports Illustrated article, it points out, Devin Booker's a great scorer but doesn't do a whole lot else. And it's I don't understand that mentality, really. It's like, well, Booker doesn't do anything else but score. I'm like, well, look at the team around him.
Well,
again.
I know, and that's exactly, and that's the thing where I almost can't fault the writers, but it's why these endeavors, the top 100, they're always so misled because what they do, they look up Devin Booker's stats, they say, oh, look at his assists, not a great passer. That's the equation. And it's like you don't take into account what the rest of the team was shooting percentage-wise. There has to be a rank for how many open looks his teammates got and passes from him that were just clanked.
Yeah, that's what I would love to see a stat, and I bet there's maybe something out there with the sport VUs they have now, but of what's qualified as an open shot pass, like a pass creating an open shot now, where there's not a defender within X amount of feet when he received the ball.
And then how many times did the Suns miss that shot from Booker?
Exactly.
I can think of a bunch just off the top of my head. I'll tell you that right now. Oh, Booker hit him. It's not like it's some behind the when Steve Nash used to dribble and be in the weeds and then would kick out a pass to the top of the key. And you're like, how do you even see that? it doesn't have to be that, but it's still Devin Booker connecting on a wide open pass. The shot should go in and it should register an assist, and it just doesn't. But like never.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because when we watch the games and we have our bias towards them and other people don't, I just feel like there's no way he's going to get a fair shake on these rankings from anyone until the team starts winning, which is so unfair in a sense of the amount of hate rather than just indifference. Like on indifference I can understand, but like the level of hate now is just odd.
That's the part I don't get. And even when you point out his flaws, I can't find anything as far as assists go, but his assist percentage has gone up almost 10% the last 2 years. Well, so the ones that he can get teammates to convert has still been going up at a high rate. God forbid they actually start making other shots.
Yeah. And, the article said he was like replete with turnovers. I didn't remember that being the case.
Oh, he turned over like 4 times a game.
Oh, that's not great.
No, but he also was primary playmaker. Like, there is a reason behind this, you know?
How many turnovers did James Harden get a game?
Like 5.
So, and he's not getting the assist, but we just kind of talked about that.
I think him and like prime DeMarcus Cousins are the only like high usage players to ever turn it over like 5 times a game.
DeMarcus Cousins should not be turning it over 5 times a game.
No, but you know how he is. Well, how he was before he died.
Yeah, poor DeMarcus Cousins. I feel so bad for that guy.
James Harden, 5 turnovers a game last year. It's exactly 5.
Wow. I mean, Booker had 4 with almost 7 assists. The amount of on a terrible team, Booker averaged almost 7 assists a game, 2 threes a game. The amount of stats he put up is crazy to me for the fact that he's 22 years old on a terrible team. 26 points a game. That's amazing.
26. Mm-hmm. Like, when was the last time we had anyone? Chris and I were saying, when was the last time a few years ago we've had a player average 20, and that was hard enough to find. I mean, did Goran Dragic average 20? If he did, it was just so, I thought.
20.1 the season he was third team all NBA.
Yeah, you have to go back to Amari Stoudemire, that type of team. That's amazing.
I only think Marion did it like once. Most of the time he was like 18-ish. He was like an 18 and 11 kind of guy.
Well, that's why he never wanted to stay on the Suns, because he wanted to be the star.
20.3 for Dragic. In 2014.
But then you can just dismiss it because, 26 points, but on a losing team. And it's like, that's always going to be the thing.
Empty stats.
It sucks.
Yeah, and it's kind of unfair to a kid who's barely able to drink. He went up with like a little bit of turnovers last year, but he turned it over 3.7 times the year before per game. And for the fact that his assists went up by 2.5, only going up a half a turnover a game is actually really good. It helped improve his assist-turnover ratio pretty significantly.
I just think it's weird because, like, how many assists did, like, Kobe get? What was his average for assists?
I would guess 5.5-ish a game for his career.
And what's Devin Booker?
Probably about the same.
So, like, Kobe Bryant. Devin Booker never passes. Selfish ball hog, bottom feeder in the NBA. Kobe Bryant never passes. Greatest of all time. What do you do? But that's it right there. Kobe won championships. Devin Booker can't make the playoffs, and
that's what. The only thing I can think of is like, what reality would we be living right now in if we did not have Robert Sarver as our owner? Like, imagine Robert Sarver in 2014 sold the team. And so Booker.
It's not. That doesn't even have to be the one variable. What would it be if we had any competent GM for the last 6 years?
Yeah,
we've wasted all our. I mean, I consider that like 6 years of loss.
Yeah,
like if you bought a house as an investment and it burned down, and now you have nothing.
Sunk cost. Let's just move on. But I look at like the SI list. The number 33 on the list is De'Aaron Fox, who. Now people are all ripping on the Suns for not taking him instead of Josh Jackson, which in hindsight, of course, hindsight's 2020, we should have taken him.
Sure.
But, I mean, the Sacramento Kings have never been known as a model franchise by any method of measurement. They've always been a complete dysfunction. But because they had a semi-successful season last year, they were close to making the playoffs, everyone's looking at De'Aaron Fox as better than Devin Booker.
It's because they made a big jump last year. If they stagnate or they fall back again this year, then that'll all go away very quickly. And remember, the Kings did have an okay season last year, and they exceeded expectations. They also missed the playoffs by 11 games. So, let's not pretend they're winners either. They finished below 500.
It's always so funny because it depends on your success, but more than that, it depends on the perception of your success. Mm-hmm. So Sacramento Kings were supposed to be bottom feeders, still didn't make the playoffs, but because they overshot expectations, there's some great successful story. And it is good for them, but it's amazing how in another situation, same team, same record, but if they were expected to make the playoffs and they didn't, then they're complete failures and all their players suck.
Look at the other reality of, let's say we trade for Tyler Johnson and Kelly Oubre at the beginning of last season, and we win 32 games last year instead of what we did 2019, I think is what we win. We win 10 to 12 more games. I think the entire perception is completely different because
I think it helps
how the team morphed because of new players. It cannot be overstated how shitty our team has been.
Even if we get close to 40 wins this year, which would be
amazing,
I think all people would agree that that's probably unrealistic, but would be incredible. I really do think we would start nearing the more respect. Probably until he makes the playoffs, he's never going to get it. But
yeah,
how many times has Anthony Davis made the playoffs? Pop quiz.
3, 2, 3, 2, 2. Yes,
2 times.
Got swept once, right?
Sure did. By the Warriors, which is not much shame in.
Yeah.
And the other time he got out to the playoffs was by the Warriors. They swept Portland in the first round, but Portland sucked that series.
It kind of sucks because that goes against my whole analogy because everyone's always... I mean, he's got nothing but love since he's coming in the NBA.
Pretty much. Mm-hmm. Is he a winner? He's won 1 playoff series. Is Chris Paul a winner? He's in the playoffs all the time. Can't advance to the stuff that matters.
Hasn't made to the conference. Oh, the conference was last year.
No, he did.
But it's amazing. Yeah. It's is Steve Nash a winner? Because we remember all the hate that Nash got for not winning a title, but there's no question his son's teams were successful. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because young players, apparently just making the playoffs is all you need. Because it means you're there, you're in the mix, you're competitive. Mm-hmm. And then when your career starts to wind down, we start looking at the whole breadth of your accolades and what you've done and what you've accomplished and where you fit in the Hall of Fame. Then it's only about the ultimate prize. No matter how much you won during your career, that doesn't even matter anymore. Now it's only about did you win a title.
Yeah.
So the goalposts never stop moving is basically what I'm saying. It's always going to change no matter what.
And then you're LeBron James and you win 3 titles and you're still hated on for losing the other 5.
Mm-hmm. Can you be much more of a winner than LeBron James? I haven't looked at LeBron James's career record, but I'm assuming it's 300 to 350 games over 500.
And 8 straight trips to the finals. I can't believe people shit on him for this.
Well, but then it's his win percentage in the finals.
Well, yeah.
But your point is, that is you can win 4 championships where everybody's like, but what about that 5th that you could have won, but you lost? You suck.
Well, that's like the people shitting on the Buffalo Bills for going 0-4 in 4 straight Super Bowls. I'm like, they made the Super Bowl 4 years in a row, people. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And they were a couple of bad breaks away from at least sneaking one of them.
At least one, yes.
And if they just win one of the 4, they're fine. Even though they lost 3 of them, the majority, it doesn't matter. Even look at a guy like, say, Jason Kidd, who really only won a title by, I want to say, hanging on the Mavericks. He was a core contributor to them, but certainly well past his prime by then.
Not the superstar.
But he snuck one in, so it kind of undoes the 2 that he got his ass kicked with the Nets back in the early 2000s.
It was one of the worst periods of basketball.
It was terrible. There was a 78 to 76 game in that finals, one of those, and it was like, oh boy, the NBA, it's fantastic. But all it takes is one. So again, it's just a matter of the narrative can change when anybody wants to flip the switch. So far, there's been nothing except losing in Devin Booker's career, so there's nothing to really change it. Hopefully that's this year, at least to get us a Kings-esque season from last year, a 20-game improvement, and people go, oh, he's actually really good.
I think the Suns are going to win 40 games.
Don't start this.
I do. Here's what I think. It's like we've been playing with a hand and a foot tied behind our back, and now we have both.
Shaun,
we have all our wins.
I want to remind you of the 2012-2013 season, and we actually have this documented on our website. When you said a team consisting of, I want to say Goran Dragic, Martin Gortat, Michael Beasley, and Luis Scola was going to make the playoffs. You said that.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
And Shaun has
they could have made the playoffs.
Shaun has admitted he's consistently probably overestimated the Suns in our little preview things that we don't really take that seriously, anyways.
And I was all ready to lower. I think I gave a much lower estimate earlier when we've done this, but now I'm like, you know what? I think we're gonna have a good team. How many times did we play the East this year?
The same as every year.
Which is like what? Because I know
28 games, something like that.
No,
30?
Well, 15, no, 30, yeah. 15.
So if that's 30 wins right there, all we have to do is find a way to scratch up another 10.
Yeah, because that's the issue, right? It's like I see people who are like, we're going to win like 43 games this year, and I'm like, I sure hope you're right, but we're going to go from 19 to 43 in this Western Conference?
Yeah, that's
the big issue is like the Western. It's so bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's so bad. But, if we can sneak a few wins here and there and do our best to not lose the gimmies, which is what we did all last year. But again, we have a team. We have a team this year. We have like a full team. It's no longer 4 or 3 on 5. If everyone stays healthy, I do want to make that caveat.
Yeah,
well, sure.
I like the idea that there's been a lot of comparison between Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker. We now have Donovan Mitchell's point guard. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let's run with that. Maybe that's part of the reason. Is just having a competent point guard really helps your
Utah
team.
Doesn't have a much better team than we. Well, okay, now they do, but they didn't back like a year ago. They had some. I mean, Rudy Gobert is good. Aiden's like a Rudy Gobert light, except not on defense at all. Joe Ingles. Ingles. Who's his? We have a player that's like him, Kelly Oubre. He's like kind of like him.
I mean, you're stretching a little bit on these, but I get your point.
We could be the new Utah. We could be the new Utah based on Utah last year, and that's enough for playoffs.
Yeah, I was saying a couple in not this season, but next season. Make a little bit of strides. Ayton becomes a 20-10 instead of 16-10. Booker keeps doing what he's doing. Yeah, I could see us being in the playoffs 2 years from now.
No, not 2 years. Fucking Dave, I'm saying next year.
This year.
Next year, playoffs.
I'd love it. I would absolutely love it.
And you know what? Especially because we don't give a shit about the draft anymore. What are we going to tank for?
Yeah, exactly.
The Jazz, by the way, got just mollywopped by the Rockets last year, but they're winners because they made the playoffs. They're winners.
I mean, that's the other thing is like, should playoffs really be the goal when you start getting into it? But no, for a franchise that's been so starved, yes, we do want to be in the purgatory of the NBA, right in that 8 seed, because it's less of a purgatory now than it was before.
I really just want to manage people's expectations is all. Maybe that's because that's who I am, the type of person I am. But like, I think winning 35 plus this year would be a good year.
Oh yeah,
I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree. I will not be disappointed if we win 30, 32.
You're kind of hoping for 40 plus, but you'd be happy with 35 plus. There are some people that are hoping for 40 plus that will think this is a bad season if we don't win that many.
Yeah, I don't want that.
And they need to get off their pedestal.
Yeah,
because they have really, really bad expectations.
It's not healthy.
Anything plus 30, over 30, I'd say it was like, yeah, we improved by 11 games.
Let's make 32. Can we agree on 32 is like the goal, the barometer that we said of we'll be happy if they hit it?
Yeah, I'd say even 30, I'd be like, okay, we made strides at least. I'm not 100% happy, but
My
we made strides.
32.
It depends on what the 30 or the 32 looks like,
Yeah.
If it comes together, especially more towards the end of the season, you can see the system working and the players kind of getting to understand the way they play and coming together on the court and like things clicking and a couple quality wins, then yeah. And if it's like 30 because we just beat the absolute bottom feeders and stomped the Eastern Conference just to get to 30, then
Dave, I want to do another bet with you this year where like I say 32, you say 30, but then like I have like more of a prize if they win 40 and you have more of a prize if they win like 20.
I can't bet against the Suns like that. I don't want to do that.
Well, I've actually heard you should always bet against your team because then
it's true. You can't
you're
lose.
happy either way.
It's like putting in a side bet when you have like a heavy like a big bet on a title winner. You bet against their opponent in the finals if you make it that far, so you win either way.
Yeah, hedging.
Plus, it hurts double as bad if you bet money on the team you're rooting for and then they lose.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
So that's what really sucks.
No, I'd rather bet on the Lakers again this year, Shaun, like we did on air before.
Well, yeah, but what can I do? I mean, they're
still
gonna make the playoffs.
You figure, unless somebody gets hurt.
I mean, like, it's no longer a thing of like, I'm going to bet they don't make the playoffs. I suppose they couldn't, but I don't feel comfortable with that bet. Now, if you were, Dave, adamant that they'd be the number 1 seed in the West, that would be a bet that I could take.
I would not do that bet.
I don't think they're going to be the number 2 seed in the West.
I would be surprised if they were, I'd say right around 4.
Yeah, 3, 4.
If I could take a bet that was Lakers or Clippers as the 1 seed versus the field, I would put like $100,000 on the field.
Yeah.
$100,000.
And then you would kill yourself with the Lakers. Because of what we just talked about. Then now it's the Lakers being the number 1 seed and you lost all that money.
Yeah.
I would probably really have to hurt myself, yes. But it won't happen. Like Denver's going to win 60 games. How do the Lakers and the Clippers do that with their rest management?
Yeah, I mean that's
load management.
Yeah, that's the one. Anyways, ranting, getting off our chest. Devin Booker's great. Not perfect. We don't think that. Just a good young kid making $1 bazillion, trying his best, wants to make the playoffs, says all the right things.
I wonder if his defense is going to get better this year.
It just needs to be average.
I think it could because he's not going to be asked to do so much on offense.
I hope so.
Me too.
The dude is shooting 26.5 times a game and running point last season. And people are like, he's just not locked in on the defensive end. I'm like, do you keep your concentration for 48 minutes straight on anything ever? Because I bet you don't. Ooh, bird.
Yeah. I think great defenders are just built that way. Like, it usually is not something you grow into. Mm-hmm. But I think he could be a good defender. Even, like you said, average would be a win.
He's got athleticism and length. I mean, he can do it.
Yeah.
Nobody does it at both ends for 48 minutes. Mm-hmm. Nobody. And before you come at me with like a Kawhi Leonard or something, no, he doesn't. Maybe in the fourth quarter, he's got that intensity on both ends. But we watched the Raptors with all their other like pretty good secondary options. Like Siakam was carrying the load for a part of a quarter. And Kyle Lowry was carrying the load for a quarter. And Marc Gasol. So like...
Fred VanVleet was hitting threes.
He wasn't Kawhi Leonard for 48 minutes. He was when it counted, but Devin Booker had to be Devin Booker every minute of every game he played.
And the only ones who do that, like Patrick Beverley, it's because that's all they're doing. They're only on defense. Yeah, there's very little on. It's almost like the inverse.
Like Paul George has never really done that. There was maybe a stretch in Indiana where he was the only decent offensive option, but that had like still not crazy Lance Stevenson there to help, for example, and a not corpse Roy Hibbert. He wasn't doing it every minute of every game while he was also playing good defense. It doesn't happen. You can't do it.
Man, they used to have a good team.
Yeah.
LeBron.
Stonewalled by LeBron.
Yeah. LeBron had his moments. Like, if he locked in 100%, LeBron was unbelievable on offense and defense and could shut anybody down. That series where they played Derrick Rose and the Bulls, Rose is the MVP, and LeBron said, I got him, and he's done, was amazing. But it's still not 48 minutes.
Have you ever had a player where they've been, like, bad to below average, but then they become great? Can we think of an example?
Like
defensively?
On either side or just defensively?
No, I would say defense. Yeah, defense, where they've been okay, and then they went from okay to like all of a sudden they're excellent.
Draymond Green?
Was he at one point below average?
I don't know about below average, but...
He's undersized.
I think he went from average coming out of the draft to elite.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's not quite there, but that's the closest I can get, trying to think of anybody else who's been in like defensive player of the year contention.
And even if it was, it's like not even it's kind of my point is from college to NBA that can happen, but like I have an NBA player who's played for a couple of years going from average to excellent. It doesn't happen.
And I can think of somebody who went from like tire fire to decent, like a JJ Redick, who's actually not really a slouch on that side of the ball, but because of his athleticism and size, like he's never going to be an elite defender no matter how hard he tried. But he got to be respectable. Yeah. You can't run him off the floor now.
Jason Kidd, even, I think back, like he's more on the offensive side where his jumper was terrible and he made him into a decent jumper. So that's the opposite side where someone turned himself into it.
I've seen that happen, but defense. But anyways.
You can work on the offensive end. You can work on shots and repetitions and seeing the floor a little better. You can work on that a lot easily in practice. You can practice defense, but boy, you have to have the ability and the hustle to do it consistently, and that's not something you can learn.
Yeah, high focus, high motor, and that's
high IQ too. Like seeing the floor in anticipation. It's you got it or you don't.
But so we just need Devin Booker to be average.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it. Yep. Don't be a Steve.
If he can go from like really good to just a slight step below that on offense and raise his defense to average, that's an all-star.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's an all-star.
He won't
the
be
West
one this year, but
this season, if he could do that. I don't think he will, and the Suns would have to be around 500 for him to make the All-Star team. But it could happen. It's possible. Yeah. Unlikely, but possible.
We can only hope.
I know. That's all we have left is hope, and there's not a lot of reason to have it. We'll do an official Suns preview as we get closer.
October.
Yeah. It's like the 23rd, I think, is the opener.
Dang, it's coming up.
I know.
It's a month away.
A little over a month, and I'm like, finally.
Chris and I will watch the first game again and then tune out for the next 20 because we'll go on a losing streak.
Mm-hmm.
Man, how much hope do we have in that first game last year? We're like, oh my God, we're going to be good.
Man.
I had definitely more than I should have. It's a good thing we didn't do a podcast after that because it would have been real bad. It would have held up real poorly.
We're going to be the top 4 seed.
I don't know if I would have said anything like that, but I might have said playoffs.
Oh, I might have said playoffs after that first game.
I don't know. The last time I said playoffs was. Yeah, right.
Yeah, rookie.
Take that. Hold that L. All right, that's the end of this episode. In between episodes, you can find us at our website, objectionnetwork.com, on social media, at Team Objection on Facebook and Twitter. We don't post there. Don't go there. It's youtube.com/Objection Network for new videos 7 days a week. We do post there. And finally, you can send emails to the show to objectionnetwork@gmail.com. See you next time.